All right, now what I want to do is I want to talk about endpoints. And the best way to explain endpoints is to go through and actually configure an endpoint for Amazon S3. But to talk about what an endpoint is, the best way to do that is to again illustrate that through a diagram. So let's do that. This is what our environment looks like at this point. We've configured everything. We've had NAT gateway, NAT instance, etc. Now, typically, when you're trying to access a service like Amazon S3, which is the object-based storage, you would deploy that within the region that you're trying to access it, and then all of the communication happens over the internet. So even for the instances that are in your VPC, that are in your region, those would typically go out through the NAT, through the router, through the internet gateway, and then go out to the internet and come back to S3, the object-based storage. Again, it's an internet accessible service. Now, what you can do in order to keep the traffic localized so that the traffic doesn't go out to the internet and come back into S3, and this will help for performance reasons, this will help for security reasons, regulatory reasons, a whole slew of different reasons that you can do this. What you can do is then deploy an endpoint and specify that this endpoint is going to route traffic from a particular subnet through the endpoint and directly to the AWS service. In this case, it would be the object-based storage Amazon S3. Now again, this keeps all of the traffic localized. Now to do that, you can either do this via VPN, via NAT, via Direct Connect. So there's a whole slew of ways to connect to the VPC. But in order to keep that traffic localized, we're going to create an endpoint and allow that endpoint to then route the traffic to the Amazon S3 service. So let's go to the management console and see how you can do that. From the management console, we're going to go back into VPC. And on the left, we're going to go ahead and click on endpoints. And this is a very straightforward setup. You're going to go ahead and click on create endpoint. Let's go ahead and scroll up a little bit. You want to select the VPC that you want to create the endpoint in. In this case, I only have one VPC, the WBC, so I'm going to select that. From a service perspective, I want to make sure which service am I connecting to? What do I want to configure? What do I want to keep the traffic local to? From the drop-down menu, the only option I have right now is S3, so I'm going to select that. As Amazon adds more services that you can connect to through endpoints, you can select them from the drop-down menu. Now, as far as access is concerned, you can either give full access so that all of the users can connect via a particular subnet, of course, or you can customize that and then write your own JSON script to give specific users or specific access to this endpoint. For the purpose of this example, I'm going to keep it as full access. You can take a look here at the policy and how that is created automatically for you. So once you're ready and you like what you're seeing here, you're going to go ahead and click on create. The next thing to do is to associate the correct subnet with this endpoint. So which subnet is going to access this endpoint locally, right? So in this case, what I want to do is I want to give my NAT subnet. Now remember, the NAT subnet was configured for those private subnets. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And once I'm ready, I'm going to go ahead and associate and then finish. Bada bing, bada boom, voila. This is as easy as it gets. Now, if you select it, you can either right click obviously, or from the actions button menu down here, you can select a few things. You can delete the endpoint. You can customize the route table if you've made a mistake with the association of the subnet, for instance. You can edit the policy if you don't want to give full access policy and you want to do custom policy. You can do that in here as well. If you have the correct endpoint selected, then you can come down here and take a look at the summary. You can take a look at the route table that it's currently associated with, and you can look at the policy as well, and you can make changes down here also. It's as simple as that. It's a very easy and straightforward setup.